Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hugh's Reviews. It is a very special edition because today I have with me the one, the only, Vin Diesel. Mr. Diesel, thank you so much for joining us here today. Oh, no, sir. The honor is all mine. Now, to get started, I am sure that you're well aware that there is a little bit of controversy dealing with the new Hobbs and Shaw movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham. I was wondering if I could get your input on that. Well, that is an extremely enlightened attitude, sir. You know, this is such a great pleasure for me personally because you starred in one of my all-time favorite movies, Pitch Black, and the way you saved that franchise after the horrific sequel, that's just amazing. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was a sore point. I mean, I thought that you knew, and Vin, Mr. Diesel, hello? No, please don't go. It's okay. I'm sorry. Can you? Well, that could have gone better. Hey, Jimmy. Yeah, can we, send him a fruit basket or something? Okay, thank you. Well, I guess we're talking about Chronicles of Riddick. Well, I requested requests and you requested this movie. Why you enjoy hearing the breaking of a grown man's soul, I don't know, but if nothing else, I aim to please. I hear and I obey, and so, with a little bit of ado and a brief gilding of a rotten lily, may I present the Chronicles of Riddick. Pitch Black, released in 2000, was a sci-fi horror action movie featuring then mostly unknown actors, including Vin Diesel and Claudia Black of Farscape fame. It was a minor success at the box office, which went on to become a cult hit once released on TV and home video. Universal Studios caught wind of this and commissioned a sequel with a much larger budget. Director-writer David Twohy returned and ambitiously sought to ape the then newly released Lord of the Rings by trying to give a fantasy edge to this sci-fi horror premise. The finished product was not so much a masterpiece of mythology as it was a confused and bloated mess, devoid of charm and straying from the elements that made the first film a sleeper hit. Whereas in Pitch Black, Vin Diesel's Riddick was basically Snake Plissken with super eyes, Chronicles has decided to make him a chosen one, who seems nigh indestructible. He walks through fire, can destroy destroyers of worlds, and is now more a stabby Han Solo type with a heart of gold, and he even makes julienne for eyes. The error of this direction should have been obvious from the start, but high on their newly found studio support, the film trudged on. Be warned, because from this point onward, there are spoilers. Lots and lots of spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie, then good for you. You should run screaming out of the room if it hoves into your view. But if you want to know all the tidbits and titillating twists, then strap in, ladies and gentlemen, because here we go. Riddick is instead now, against all reason, the child of prophecy, who will destroy the quote-unquote necromongers. Necromongers are low-rent Thanoses who worship death and want to reach the Underverse. They even sacrifice their mortal lives to convert to the necromonger religion. What's the Underverse? How can the already dead warriors be killed by Riddick if they are but animated ghouls? Who cares? Time for an action scene! Punch, kick, thud, grunt! The Necromongers are led by the Lord Marshal, played by Colm Feore, who was chilling as the demonic Linoge in Stephen King's Storm of the Century. Here, his job seems to be to smirk, walk around in uncomfortable-looking plastic armor, and collect a check. Playing the Lord Marshal's second-in-command is the wonderful Karl Urban. Okay, wonderful elsewhere, actually, as here he seems so unsure of who his character is, how he feels, or what his motivation is, that he acts more like a schizophrenic off his meds than a solid person. That's not entirely his fault, because the script has him bouncing around like a wad of flubber. Meanwhile, trying to convince Riddick to follow his destiny is a quote-unquote elemental, played by the incomparable and majestic Dame Judi Dench. Why would someone with such poise and grand presence deign to be in this steaming pile of puff and poo? My guess is she lost a bet, or she was really banking on the sci-fi fantasy genre making a comeback. In this movie, as far as I can tell, she is a non-corporeal human who is beyond our realm of physical reality and holds great power, but for some reason needs a silver-eyed convicted murderer to kill the Lord Marshal, because for some reason she can't get directly involved. And for some reason, elementals can also be held by physical chains even though they don't have to hold a physical form. Why? How? Huh? Who cares? Time for more action. Kick, thud, punch, grunt. Since the story doesn't make sense, let us lose ourselves in the action sequences. This is an action movie, after all, right? But here we are groaning and smacking our heads again. Is it a law that when bad guys have a clear advantage of position and weaponry, that they have to do hand-to-hand combat with sticks and knives? At one point, Riddick is trapped in a pit on an enemy ship. The guards in the balconies are ordered to kill him, and rather than, pull out a gun and shoot him, they dive into the pit and get slaughtered like sheep, because of course they do, because he's Riddick. Why does a spaceship have a murder pit, and why would Riddick walk into said pit if he could have just murdered everyone and escaped anytime he wanted? Who cares? Cue the action scene! Kick, thud, punch, grunt! When someone finally thinks to shoot Riddick, and while he's on his knees helpless, a spirit, memory, whatever the heck she is, shows up and touches his chest, which, for some reason, causes him to be able to emit a giant weaponized pulse from his body that flattens everyone for a mile around. How can he do this? Why doesn't he do it later when he's getting the tar kicked out of him? Yeah, nothing? Yeah, no clues. Just gonna let me Sherlock this thing out, huh? You know, here's a hint, movie. We need there to be a reason for actions to happen. Otherwise, you are just letting the plot convenience fairy run amok on your screenplay. Hey guys, we wrote ourselves into a corner. What do we do now? Summon the plot convenience fairy. Give him superpowers that will never be referenced again. What? Do it or I'll turn you into a toad. But, of course, Riddick has to be the good guy now, right? To give Riddick a heart, we are introduced to his sidekick, Kyra. I won't even go into her personal history because at this point, I don't care anymore. But suffice it to say that the movie sets her up as a female version of Riddick. Why is it then that this incredibly dangerous and capable young woman succumbs to Disney damsel syndrome, where a previously established strong female character becomes a simpering wimp just so the male lead can save her? When fleeing from prison, she ends up last in the line of escapees at just the wrong moment, even though she was A, right behind Riddick the whole time, and B, she is obviously in way better shape than anybody else there. This is, of course, so Riddick will have to save her so he can show his good guy side. Never mind that until that moment he is a selfish murdering monster, or that he comes away from direct contact with a type of solar radiation that sets a man on fire and he doesn't even get a sunburn. Wait, okay, that's right. He's a hero now for some reason, and he dumped a half a canteen of warm water on his head, so it's okay. It totally makes sense. I just can't even, is this what madness feels like? I smell almonds. Take me to the Underverse! I will give credit where credit is due. There is one half-believable shot in this movie that fits with the character's established traits. Riddick is hanging by a rope deep within the prison planet, and he uses his agility and strength to cleverly break his manacles. It was far-fetched? Yes, but it was clever, and it made sense for the character, which is more than I can say for 90% of this movie. After the nightmarish financial and critical failure of Chronicles, the franchise seemed doomed forever. Then, in a seemingly insane move, Vin Diesel started an underground campaign to revive the series for one more movie. Fans of the original Pitch Black donated, but in the end, Diesel, believing so passionately in the project, actually remortgaged his own home to garner the capital. And then, when in 2013 Riddick was released, it more than justified the risk. It made 3 times its budget internationally, the fans loved the new edition, and Riddick returned to what made the original flick such a cult classic. Those who had so long hungered for a true follow-up and a redemption of the franchise, Diesel and David Twohy included, were rewarded in spades. So, If you get a chance, take a gander at Pitch Black and then move straight to the threequel Riddick. After that, if you're feeling completionist and a little masochistic, settle in for Chronicles. Just check and see if there's a riff tracks first. Well, that is it tonight for Hugh's Reviews. Give WXPI a shout, keep those requests coming, and let us know what you thought of tonight's episode. And, of course, as always, happy viewing.